but there's a great difference between you talk about manifest destiny, the American mindset compared to the British mindset, because the American mind, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you're sitting right there in the middle of it, and I'm sitting in Britain. The 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 American mindset is the individual is responsible for their own destiny, and there is a sense there that the more the government is involved in your life, the more of a failure you are. Actually, you want to be completely free of the government in what you're doing.
I think that's a fair statement.
I mean, I think that a number of interviews I've done with sort of people that the people we're talking about that have fallen on hard times and trying to get out of them around America. There's always this thing: is I've got to get the government out of my life. I mean, that was the sort of thing. And then there's you see there's certain things in the states that I would did a panel in Washington some years back, and there was a senator, Republican Trump senator, sitting next to me. Well, he was a Congress. I don't think he was a senator, sitting next to me. And I said, Congressman, there's about 4 or 5 things that we shouldn't even begin to talk about. And he said to me, "Oh well, it's a free-wheeling conversation. Talk about anything." I said, "No, because they won't go anywhere." I said, "What are they?" And I said, "Well, I was raised in Britain and in Europe, and raised in a complete different way to what you were raised." And he was still a bit flummoxed. And I said, we should not discuss gun control. We should not discuss social welfare. We should not discuss abortion. There was a couple of, healthcare. We shouldn't discuss healthcare. There was another one that, and then at the end of the panel, there was a guy from China, a professor from China was actually on the panel. It was obviously a time when they were more free to talk than that. And I looked across to him, and he sort of eyed me and overheard what he was saying. And then I said, and we shouldn't discuss democracy either, because Professor so-and-so over there was raised in an authoritarian environment, so he wouldn't necessarily understand what we are doing in Europe or what you're doing. And you're not going to change somebody's mind in a half-hour debate on that. You're not going to change the mind, and you're not going to necessarily be able to argue the points, or win over the audience, because it depends where you are. If you're in Europe, the audience is going to be a one. If you're in America, particularly probably where you are, I don't know, you're on the gun control thing, you're going to be on another thing, and then if you're in China, you're going to be on in another viewpoint.